Well, the very next conversation we're having has to do with the African Free Trade Area, of course, headquartered here in Accra. But what are the boons we've got from that grouping? In 2018, this came to the fore, 54 African countries to be covered. But with some years on, we're still looking at those full benefits. Well, today we'll be having an interaction with the Executive Director of the Center for Regional Integration, Africa, on some of the developments they have lined up in respect of the AfCFTA arrangement. She's in the person of, and I'm going to try my hardest on this, Professor Lithanolu Tho. And I know I've butchered her name, but she's going to give it better. Prof, tell us what your name is as you would pronounce it.
Inshira.
Inshira? Okay.
That is the meaning of Lethohonolo.
Lethohonolo. Lethohonolo.
Tho.
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 Okay,
Yes.
so you see what languages are like. She's doing the clicks and everything, and I'm simply not used to those. But wonderful name, Inshira. So Inshira Inchi, blessing, right?
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
good to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
But tell us a bit about, the Center for Regional Integration Africa. What is it that you do? How long have you been around?
Well, the Center for Regional Integration in Africa, we call it CRIA, has been around for some years now.
Okay.
We are essentially a center established to support the processes of regional integration and continental trade. By way of research, capacity building, and also advocacy. So, I mean, you can do each one of those separately, but we tend to do them together. You can't do capacity building without doing the research to find out who needs building of capacity, what are the issues, and how will they actually strengthen implementation processes, and so on and so forth.
That's very interesting, because on the back of the AfCFTA, there have been a lot of complaints about the actuals, the real merits of the AfCFTA and how it can be brought to bear in African countries. And here you are organizing this upcoming forum. So this is the Regional Integration Issues Forum, which kickstarts tomorrow.
That's right, the RIF.
Right. Why this forum, though? Why this forum?
Well, the forum is really a partnership program that we established with the African Capacity Building Foundation in 2017. And we realized that capacity was one of the issues that was lacking in promoting intra-African trade and regional integration generally. So we got together with the ACBF and developed a platform that brings together multi-sectoral stakeholders. And essentially, we bring them together to raise awareness about regional integration, to build their capacity to engage meaningfully in processes of regional integration, and also to simply ensure that we are tracking some of the engagements in processes of implementation.
In terms of impact or outcomes, what are you hoping that at the end of this two-day, conference or forum, you're going to be achieving or seeing? What's the planned impact?
Yeah, well, so it's 2 days, as you rightly noted. And the first day is the conference. We'll start with an opening ceremony chaired by Nana Dr. Owusu Afari, who is a past president of AGI, the Association of Ghana Industries. And then we also will have partner remarks, of course, during that period of time, and some remarks from the private sector, namely the executive director of the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce and Industries based in Addis Ababa. And then we'll have SME remarks. But the highlight of the ceremony, of course, will be the keynote address of the Secretary General of the
AfCFTA?
AfCFTA.
Right.
That's right. So that's in the morning, of course, and then all afternoon we'll have engagements through plenary, breakout sessions, and interactive sessions with SME participants on various issues, looking at questions of SME financing to enable them access cross-border trade and that sort of thing, to questions of how do SMEs really break into that cycle of regional value chains and the process of actually developing their own products, their goods and services, so that they can be competitive in other markets. So there's a whole range of questions that will be looked at and issues to be discussed. We are not producing a conference where we are preaching to SMEs. They're actually integrated into the process of sharing knowledge and information. Because we have expert knowledge from the so-called experts, and then we have practical knowledge, which is also expert from the experience of these SMEs. So that's day one.
So that's just day one?
That's just day one.
It's a 2-day event. So the conference starts, and then you'll have all these breakout deliberations with the others. What happens then on day 2?
Day 2 will be a training session for pre-selected SMEs who are coming from, Ghana. They're coming from Togo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Liberia, and so on and so forth. So it should be a cross-fertilization of ideas and thoughts and concerns from SMEs that range the gamut of sectoral, production and services, as well as markets, different markets. And so what we hope, to answer your question, is that we will have raised awareness. AfCFTA has been very generous in sending a delegation of panelists and training facilitators, and so they've endorsed this conference in the most generous way. And then, of course, awareness raising is key and part of the objective of the RIF, but also we hope to build confidence in the SMEs to feel empowered to really engage the process. Because that has been the problem, is the lack of inclusivity and engagement. And then finally, to begin that crucial conversation about how it is that SMEs can actually explore processes of adding value to their products. And that's part of the AfCFTA private sector strategy that needs to be known and implemented.
All right. So where is this conference taking place, and at what time does it start tomorrow?
Yes, you're invited. It starts at 8:30 and ends at 9, and it is taking place at Movenpick Hotel. And that's just right next door to the AfCFTA Secretariat.
So it starts at 8:30 in the morning?
Yes.
And ends at 9 in the evening?
Ends at 9.
Okay, is that for both days?
Oh, sorry, no.
It's
8:30 in the morning, ends at 5.
Ends at 5. I was a bit curious about going all the way to 9. And you've already spoken to us about some of those that you're expecting, the AfCFTA Secretary General and all of that. Which other dignitaries are showing up tomorrow and over the next 2 days?
Well, dignitaries by definition means important people. So we consider all the participants
definitely, all of them. But I'm sure there are special people that you've targeted, speakers among others.
Yes, I mean, in the audience, of course, will be the diplomatic corps and others, special guests.
Okay.
But in terms of speakers, we have, as I said earlier, members of the secretariat staff of the AfCFTA. We have representative from Afro Champions, which is a group that has done enormous work in the area of championing the AfCFTA. We also have the banking sector represented by ABSA, EcoBank, and Société Générale, who will be talking about SME financing and that issue, those issues. We have some lecturers who will be looking at the question of regulatory frameworks and how they need to be rethought to actually support the work of the private sector. And there's a whole gamut.
So it's a whole range of issues that will be discussed.
And probably really exciting for some will be a session on innovation, harnessing the power of innovation and technology, which will really be directed, guided, and discussed by SMEs who are led by the youth, engaged in very innovative issues. One of them is coming from Nigeria, and they won a prize in 2021 or 2022, presented by Forbes Africa. So they're doing very well. So they're very exciting kinds of innovative things people are doing.
I'm excited already.
Yes.
And I think I should definitely pass through. In some 10 seconds, any parting words?
Parting words. Yes, I think that we have to understand that AfCFTA is a massive machinery. You know, there's so many moving parts. We're talking about SMEs, small, medium enterprises, but there are many, many, many more in this ecosystem who would have to support SMEs. What is the press going to do? How does the press need to be trained effectively to actually, you know, tell the good stories that are coming out of those who are engaging in cross-border trade to effectively implement the AfCFTA? What are the think tanks doing, the tertiary institutions doing in terms of research and providing added support to SMEs who need to understand the trends taking place in the markets and so on and so on. So the point is that we all need to engage in the process, not just for SMEs, but with SMEs.
Interesting, and all of us ought to make our way there, participate, and that is going to be a big one, all a win for the AfCFTA. And this time I'm going to stick to the surname, Professor Tholu, joining the conversation, Executive Director, Center for Regional Integration Africa. That program at the Movenpick Ambassador Hotel, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. tomorrow and the day after that. Now